Welcome back to Retroactive, everybody. My name's Andrew, and we're going to be talking a few things here today, like Loki Season 2. We've got some interesting Marvel news with Daredevil and just the TV side of things as a whole, and possibly a few other things we'll see if we have time for. Joining me today, as always, is Josh McCoy. How you doing, bud? Yeah, I think you're muted.
My bad. I'm looking forward to a good show, man. Loki's been a good time so far. I just watched the last episode about an hour ago. So,
is this one of your variances messing with the mic? It's fine.
Basically.
All right. Well, then let's do
the mute it for the intro because you can still hear stuff in the background while the intro is playing. So I mute my mic and I forgot.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Yeah, we're having an interesting time here today. We're gonna just keep moving along, though. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the main topic today. Now, this is going to be a spoiler discussion, as it usually is for the series we talk about in here for Loki Season 2. We're going to be talking episodes 1 and 2 for this. Real quick. Boom, there he is. All right.
That's
now, just devilishly good-looking man. And so let's go ahead and start with episode 1. Of course, Josh, what did you think of that first initial episode?
I thought it was very strong. I picked up immediately because I watched the last episode of season 1 before that one came out. So I watched them back to back, and it picks up perfect timing. I thought it was a very, very strong start, and it's just I'm excited to be excited about something Marvel again because I bought my ticket for the Marvels for opening weekend, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not excited. Loki's been the first Marvel thing I've been excited about for a while. I think episode 1 was a great first start, and I think they're doing a better job at making Kang seem like a threat more so than Quantum Mania did, which is crazy in my opinion. But he actually is menacing and actually kind of scary the way they're talking about him in the show versus what we've seen.
Yeah, he's like this looming presence that they haven't shown us again, but we know he's there some way, shape, or form. So it's a very interesting thing.
I wish they would have tied Quantum Mania with this some way, shape, or form because it's weird that the other one died by a bunch of ants,
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, especially with, as you've kind of mentioned before, the way that he goes out in that movie. It's like we don't necessarily think he's dead. We just he's in a different
quantum battery thing. He probably just got
right
out somewhere, but still, he's still lost to Ant-Man of all people. So
right. That's a interesting thing, if nothing else, because is it? I know that each one has a different name, but that was the Conqueror version, correct?
Yeah, that was Kang. So
that was, yeah. Because I mean, I know I don't know all the different name variants, and I don't think everybody could possibly know them all. But I know that they keep talking about the one from Loki as the He Who Remains and everything like that.
You got Victor Timely with this season.
Yeah, I know I think that's the. I don't know if it's the only one that's going to show up, but it's the main one that's going to be throughout. So I've heard that name a few times. So we haven't seen him yet, but
we saw him in the post-credit scene for Quantum Mania.
Oh, that's right. They did that little tie-in. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just mean as far as for the series, we haven't gotten there yet. But I have a feeling probably next episode is when we'll probably come across them
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you there. I ended up rewatching the entire first season of Loki before jumping into season 2. So I was a couple days behind the mark with everybody else, but it wasn't anything, in my opinion, that I had to worry about necessarily, with spoilers and stuff like that. There's not a ton of stuff that happens in episode 1 that I think is too spoilery for most people. I forgot how good season 1 was, honestly, because I'd only watched it the one time when it first came out. And of course, this, it's, episode by episode, week by week type of thing, as opposed to kind of condensing it. I think I was doing 2 episodes a night, and I was able to really appreciate the storytelling with it a little bit more. I love the, my wife was talking about how she wasn't a huge fan of the first couple episodes. At first, she thought it was very slow, and I was like, I actually really enjoyed the first couple episodes because it was a deconstruction of the character that we once knew. We're essentially tearing this god or man down to nothing and starting from scratch, and taking that character in a completely different direction than what we had before. And so that's what made me really fall in love with this show again. was getting to relive that and like really, like I said, taking it a little bit quicker. And that's my one gripe with Disney Plus. I mentioned it before, the whole week to week thing.
Yeah.
I don't think always works. This is fine. Like, it's not quite as bad. I wouldn't say Loki has the same issue as like some of the Star Wars shows do, like how Kenobi should have just been released all at once. Even if they kept it the whole like 6 episode thing or whatever, dropping it all at once and you being able to consume it a lot quicker, I think would have made that story resonate a little bit more.
For Loki, it's because it's good. We want to know what happened next. That's
right.
Why it has like the opposite effect of like Kenobi and stuff.
Right. It's like with any of those series, it's like there's good episodes, but not every episode is good. So like when you have a not good episode, whether it's bad or just like lackluster at best, then you have an entire week to sit with the fact that you thought that wasn't good, and then you have to jump back into it with like lowered expectations. So it's not always the best case scenario. But to jump back into Loki, I I love the is it they call him Hobie? Is that or Obi? Obi.
Obi.
Yeah. I love his character.
Represents the whole snake eating its tail type thing. That's what that reference.
Oh, okay. I was curious. I was like, I bet there's something to do with that, his actual name, but I didn't know what that was. But yeah, he's a really fun character. I like what they're doing with him. That actor is pretty funny. He's getting
scene was dope. I thought that visually it was great, and with Owen Wilson.
Yeah, that was a really interesting way to end the first episode with that whole thing, because it was very suspenseful. Like, I mean, we pretty much knew it was like, okay, he's got to get back to, the inside part of it. Like, he's not going to die here necessarily. But the stakes were still pretty high. Like, I didn't know how it was going to play out, and it was kind of a funny way to do it with Loki just slamming into him, going right through the gate. Yeah. So that was really good.
The whole thing is everybody wants to know is who pruned him, because the pruning came from behind.
True. Yeah.
I saw be in the elevator.
Yeah, that is probably going to be the biggest question, probably like through the season, if not. Like outside of the whole Kang situation, that's just going to be like, who did this, that sort of thing, like a whodunit situation.
Flipping was cool. It reminded me of this Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes, it did.
Spider-Verse. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It's especially because of all the branching timelines and everything like that, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and jump into episode 2 here with what happened with this one. It's interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they like more or less, because of what they did in this episode, pruned almost every additional timeline. Is that correct?
Everything the ones that, for the most part, are the ones that were popping up.
Right. So it was like, because at first it was like, oh, they've done 30%, but by the end there was like maybe 1 or 2 that we could see.
Even the ones that were erased, there was still like a little bit of it there. Like, it wasn't erased. It was kind of weird. I wonder if they're going to touch back on that. This episode, I thought I really liked it, but it was weird. The ending kind of caught me, or the beginning caught me off guard, because the last episode didn't end anywhere near how this one started. They just immediately jumped back into the sacred timeline. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you're right, and it had a very different feel. Like, but I liked it because I liked the whole that we're really getting into the whole Loki and Mobius like good cop bad cop thing. Like that's starting to play out more with
like when he was, it's Brian, right? That was his Brad.
Yeah.
We got to see a little bit of the old Loki, like his little evil side. Just like, it was kind of cool seeing that again, because we haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, and I liked the way that they did that they kind of like slowly drew that out of him, as opposed to like a snap moment type of thing. I appreciated that, and it was also like, but that it ended up being ultimately like a plan between him and Mobius as far as what he did, not necessarily like that, oh, everything that this man said to me, made me want to just completely lose control and go off the rails type of thing. Like old Loki definitely would have, without question. So you see that like growth in him as a character and as a person. So they're, like I said, they're doing a really good job.
It was funny watching him reminisce about throwing Tony Stark off a building.
Right, that was pretty fun. Yeah, dude, that freaking like key lime pie. Oh, whenever that shit pops up, it just makes my stomach churn, man. That like
Really?
hyper green key lime pie. It looks, oh god, it looks so
I, I,
gross.
well, I think this episode succeeded what I was trying to do. It really made me want McDonald's.
Right?
In fact,
Yeah, this is a really good like advertisement for McDonald's right now.
a lot of people were saying this is because like a lot of critics got to see the first 4 episodes.
Hmm.
This is the weakest out of all of them. Like it was 1, 3, and 4 that were really good, but this one, I'm like, this one really wasn't bad. So I don't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, it's just maybe the other ones have like I don't know. I don't know what to think because I was gonna say that maybe they had bigger stakes, but what's bigger stakes than them pruning basically all their timelines in one go? Like that's pretty heavy right there. So I don't know. Maybe it just maybe it has more to do with the overall story for this season is starting to really hit its mark in like episode 3 and 4. We'll just have to wait and see. But
Well, apparently
I
before left people on their seats, like so
yeah.
from all the reviewers and whatnot.
I see a lot of people. I've come across a couple things that I've had to kind of like scroll past really fast. Like people are trying to like spoil possible things for the end of this season, and I'm just like, can you? It's just a couple of weeks. Can we just please wait? Like, or at least wait until we're like a week out, then maybe start talking about like, things because then it can always just be shrugged off as rumors or theories and things like that. But like I caught a glimpse of something and I'm like, oh God, I hope I didn't just spoil something for myself. And I'm not even going to talk about it.
A year ago, I saw what was potentially the ending of this season.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm hearing that it didn't get good feedback from people, so Marvel changed it. So hopefully, because I wouldn't like how it ends, how I heard, I wouldn't like
Mm-hmm.
it. I really hope they actually did change it. I'm not going to say anything here, but
Yeah.
this season, I hope it doesn't take place.
Yeah. Fair enough. And that maybe that's what that was. Maybe someone, had a screen grab of something from their original plan and they're just kind of like putting it out there. It's like, oh, this is what's going to happen when it's in reality possibly been changed. Like we obviously won't know until it happens, but a lot of this stuff, as we've seen with some of the, whether it be the Marvel stuff or any of the Disney related content lately, some of this stuff gets changed like right before the premieres. And I'm not saying that they
Yeah.
don't have it finished now, but like right before episode 1 drops, sometimes they're still finishing the last episode with the,
6 weeks before Quantum came out, they were filming the ending of that movie.
yeah, exactly. Because I heard they completely redid the ending or
Yeah.
something. And yet we still had Kang get beat by ants.
Yeah.
So makes you wonder what the original ending was.
The more I think about that movie, the more it irks me because I was super excited for that one.
Yeah, I was too because like I really enjoyed the first Ant-Man. Didn't enjoy the second one as much. And I know we've talked about that before, but like this one looked really cool, and I liked how weird and deep into the quantum realm stuff we were going to get finally.
So to like connect the 10 rings to Kang from
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi because all the technology looks the same in the bangles with Miss Marvel, and so much opportunity just thrown out the window.
Right. It's like, are they gonna at some point touch on that, and they'll have to like backtrack a little bit and be like, this stuff was actually to do. It's like, well, you're too late now. You could have just said it to begin with. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this episode, I'm with you. I thought was still really solid. Still enjoying myself with this, and it's I don't know a lot about some of the deeper catalog stuff when it comes to Marvel, but I know that the whole Zaniac thing is a reference to something from the Marvel comics. It's like a character from that they just kind of used as a as kind of like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that clearly doesn't mean anything because it's just his character from a movie within that universe. But I just thought that was kind of funny that I heard about that. So I guess we'll just have to as usual, wait and see how things progress with the series. I'm enjoying myself so far.
My favorite thing Marvel's put out in a long time. So
yeah, I'm probably with you on that one. And speaking of Marvel, we've got some other Marvel stuff going on right now. There's some crazy stuff going on right now with Daredevil and the MCU TV side of things as a whole. Now, I'll start with the Daredevil news specifically. So there's pretty much every trade is talking about this over the last couple of days that Marvel has gone and fired or let go all the writers from the new Daredevil Born Again series, as well as the directors for it. And they're starting from scratch. I've read a few different reports as far as how far they've gotten. I heard up to halfway done, as far as like half the season was filmed.
6 episodes.
Yeah, 6 episodes was filmed, and Kevin Feige and them saw it, didn't like the direction it was going, and decided that they want to start over again.
You didn't even see Daredevil suit up until episode 4.
I heard about that too, and I was like, "Oh, that's a huge mistake."
Yeah.
Like I could give you, if it's a 12-episode arc, I could give you until the end of episode 2, maybe the beginning of episode 3, and even then you're pushing it before people would get really freaking pissed. But you make people wait till episode 4, they're gonna fall off.
Since it's gotten completely written off and they're not doing any of it, do you want to hear what they were doing?
I know it was more of a law procedural type show.
Well, it had to do with his new. They were revolving a lot to do with his new love interest, and then Foggy, and then what's her name? The chick from the Netflix show,
the blonde one.
Yeah, they die off screen, and then the whole bit with the Punisher was going around trying to find racist cops who were using his logo as misrepresentation and killing the racist cops. Because all that stuff that happened last year when
people when they had to change the logo in the comics and stuff like that.
Like that's what they were going, like that's what they were filmed, and then like they were 4 episodes in, and like he didn't even suit up yet. So like, they're like, no.
I'm not I don't know if it necessarily fits within the Daredevil one as a whole, but I'm not against the Punisher side of the story, personally speaking. I know people don't really like to bring in the real world stuff into a lot of this stuff, but that's actually a really interesting thing, because they did it with the comics too and kind of went down that path. So I'm not completely against that, but the whole focusing too much on the whole lawyer side of things, making it more of a procedural show, and like you said, not having him suit up as Daredevil till episode 4, definitely not the way to go, in my opinion.
I realize they're losing their fan base.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna focus more on story. Obviously, they're gonna have real world things in it, but they're gonna leave, because they've been a lot of like political stuff out of it and just focus on the overall story and start getting us to like Secret Wars and everything. Because at the rate they're going, by the time we get there, nobody's gonna care. And that's who's obsessed with this stuff. Like they really need to kind of. That's why it's good. I heard they canceled. She never confirmed it, but it was confirmed. Vision Quest. So they're already starting to cancel like certain shows that we don't need. Like I said, we don't need Agatha. Right. We don't need any of this stuff. Like we should just try to we need to start like getting to the point, because Loki's phenomenal and like nobody's watching it.
Well, what's crazy is, and so this plays more into the overall like reaching of the TV side of things, was the reason that most of this stuff has not hit as far as critically or otherwise, and this isn't 100% the reason, but it's definitely a contributing factor, is the way that they've gone about making these shows over the last couple of years. They did not have showrunners to essentially like manage everything and make sure that it was not only running smoothly, but that maybe there's more of like a cohesiveness to everything going on. You had they weren't doing pilots, which I kind of get the pilot thing, because it's like, not doing a pilot doing a pilot when it's something that's brand new or untested. That's the usual thing. This is coming off of a universe that's already established. So I a little bit understand that, but I would say at least need to have some sort of a version of a pilot to test what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And that way you can see if it works. And that way you're not just jumping into everything, spending $150 million a series and not sure if it's going to work or not, or if people are even going to like it. And so because you have stuff like that going on, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, because they spent almost $200 million or a little over on Secret Invasion. That show actually hurt them.
Right.
Like that show single-handedly turned people off from Marvel. Like that was like the final straw for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like now the Marvels, the pre-sales are not doing good at all. Nobody's like, the viewership for Loki is not good, and Loki is a phenomenal show. Like they're just putting out stuff for the sake of putting out stuff, and there's no quality control. Like they're just I don't know what they're thinking. But finally, I think they're reading the room, and they're going to start canceling some stuff. And
yeah,
and I think
biggest thing is that it's like you need to. just like with everything else within the MCU, you need to have a plan. You need to like have. It's not that you necessarily have to have a separate division, but it almost is in and of itself because that's what it was when you had the Netflix one, but it was because the Netflix and the ABC shows were so separated from everything to the point where they were essentially in their own like pocket universe almost,
Yeah.
especially the Netflix ones. So they could kind of do what they wanted without too much repercussion. But at the same time, like that's why it was so separated. They're wanting to make sure that this is cohesive, this is mixed in with the MCU. Great. You still need someone, a few people rather, running the ship because Kevin Feige can't do everything. He's not in every creative room or anything like that. He's just the head of everything, the business side of it. And yes, I'm sure he helps with certain plans, but at the end of the day, it goes down to the writers, the executives, that sort of thing, to really, make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah, no. I lost my train of thought there. I was really about to say something. I hate when that
Sorry.
happens. I was just about to say something, and I hate when that happens. It completely left my brain. Oh hell. No, but I think that they're finally reading the room a little bit, and it's good that their main focus now, they restated, is Deadpool 3, which apparently is still going to make its May date. So we're still going to get Deadpool 3 in May, possibly, and then Captain America, and then and Daredevil. And then obviously Secret Wars. Those are like Kevin Feige's main priorities right now.
Right. Yeah, it does seem that it's not that they're putting. Go for it.
We don't even know who our Avengers are yet.
Oh, okay.
Gone through two phases since Endgame. We're on the second one and we don't even know, like, the people they've introduced us to don't even know each other yet. So there's no character development between the characters themselves. So, like, by the time, if they keep that up, by the time we get there, it's not going to be the same as it was for like Infinity War and Endgame, because nobody's in it like cares much. So I think they're finally realizing that I think they got cocky with their brand and thought, oh, we'll put this out and people watch it because it's us. And I think they learned the hard way that's not how that works.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of this stuff, whether not just with Disney, but I mean Disney is a big part of it because they have so many IPs that they've been trying to like shift based on what is going on in the world and what they think is going to work, because with everything that happened with 2020 and all that with the pandemic era, that's when like everything shifted. Between that and a few other things, that's when everything shifted to the whole TV side for everything, Star Wars, Marvel, so on. And it's just like, okay, that's great. You were kind of adhering to the times, if you will, but that doesn't mean it needs to be everything going forward. We can get back to the movies. We can get back to the original way that you were telling stories. Certain things can be series, that's fine, but not everything needs to be a series, and not everything needs to have a series. As we're seeing with some of this, that is just like, it's completely unnecessary storytelling.
Yeah, with, Echo or Wonder Man, we don't need any of that.
Echo, Wonder Man, Vision Quest, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm sure I'm with you. I don't think that Agatha was necessary. The only reason I was excited about that was because they had
Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was excited about it, because they had her coming into that series, and I was like, oh, okay, now I'll watch it. Outside of that, don't really care that much.
Well, things were, because we even have like Ironheart that stopped wrap filming last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna premiere almost 3 years after it wrapped shooting, because all days and everything. Like,
that's crazy.
It's like that. I feel like you should just cut it at that point and let's focus on the stuff people actually want to. Because she was a cool character in Wakanda Forever, but like, it's not a character people are like raving about. So like,
I mean, that's true, but I would say that there is certain. That's actually one that I think kind of works more as a series as opposed to like if they were going to give her own movie, because I think stuff like that, like Miss Marvel, Ironheart, some of the younger ones, they are kind of, Miss Marvel is a little bit more tied in, but Ironheart is kind of set away from everything. Obviously, she played a role in Black Panther 2, but if she's, let's say, in her own space, she's kind of separated from everything because she's in college, she's dealing with all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, by the time that show comes around, we're going to be like in multiversal shambles, and then
I'm not saying the timing.
It's going to be out of place.
Yeah, I'm not saying the timing made sense. It was more just like, I get what they were thinking with it, and some of these younger ones to go like, let's go with a series rather than a movie with
Yeah,
some of these younger characters.
Wakanda Forever like it was supposed to, that would make perfect sense. But because it's
Right.
out in like 2 years now, or in 2025,
Yep.
at this point, like we're gonna have the more important stuff going on. So like,
yeah, it's kind of pointless
you
at
should
this
just
point.
kind of scrap it, and you can just throw that story into Armor Wars because that's still coming out as a movie. So kind of combine those two.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably what they should have done. But you know, the typical like, oh well. So all that matters.
A lot of brand damage, and they need to stop.
Yeah, at least now with this, we're hearing that they're trying to right the ship, even if it's
this is
right
great.
now. Yeah, even if it's mostly focused on the TV side. So, all right. So we've got a little bit more, not a ton of news today. That was probably like the biggest news piece that came out this week was all the MCU related stuff. There was an interesting thing that dropped today. Miramax has apparently acquired the rights for Halloween. Now, I believe it was Blumhouse that just recently finished out the whole Halloween trilogy that they just did with Halloween Kills. Is that right?
How'd you like that trilogy?
Didn't see it.
It was not like that. I remember watching the last one, and like people wanted to walk out. Like people were getting mad.
Really?
It was not a fun time.
Oh no.
And my fiance, who was like a horror movie fanatic, she didn't even like it. She thought it was garbage.
Now, when the first one came out, was that decent?
The first one was good, but the second, and the third were not.
Mm.
Like the first one had potential. The second, and third, it kind of went off the rails.
Yeah, it's interesting because it was clearly, as far as what I could tell, because they kind of announced the second and third at the same time, and that they were like, yeah, we're doing this back to back, that sort of thing, that they had a plan for a trilogy out the gate. I'm sure they were kind of like waiting to see how the first one did before they completely pulled the trigger on 2 and 3, but they had this in place. But it's, from what I hear from everybody, it's almost like story-wise they didn't quite have it locked down. You know what I mean? Like maybe they went into it after the fact and were like, oh, now we got to make a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems what Marvel's doing too. But anyway, back off.
That is the theme of the week. But yeah, so Miramax has acquired the rights to Halloween now. They were in a bidding war between A24 and a couple other studios, things like that. But
work on it. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but it would be weird, that's for sure, because it's A24. But I would almost say that it's, and I, again, didn't see the movies, so take this with a grain of salt, in the same similar-ish vein of the whole Blumhouse doing it, because they're more of a like an indie side of the movies sort of thing. Like obviously their main thing is horror. It's what they're known for. But it's A24 does do horror, but again, it's just, I feel like it would have been a very similar thing.
A24 does very weird, symbolic, artsy type horror stuff.
Right.
I think the weirdest movie I've ever seen them do was, have you seen Men?
Men? No, but I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the weirdest movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'm not an A24 person, mostly because I'm not like a horror person. And that's like the bulk. That's not all they do, but that's like a good chunk of what they do.
The movie Rubber made more sense than Men. You know, like Killing Tire.
Yeah.
Slaughterhouse makes more sense than
I saw a clip from that the other day, and I was just like cracking up laughing the whole time.
I want to watch that. I can't believe it's an actual movie. I really want to see it.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. So they apparently want to turn this into a series rather than another movie, but they do have plans to possibly do, other movies or possibly other series. They want to make this into like a cinematic universe type thing, that's interesting. Are you going to be like introducing new characters into this, because it can't all be about Michael Myers if you're doing like a MCU type horror universe.
Michael Myers on the same screen together.
I would kind of take that, because at least it'd be like, well, we'll get a different movie for each person, then they'll do the versus thing, and maybe it'll be better than the Freddy versus Jason we got like 15 years ago.
I rewatched that recently, and that movie does not age well.
I'm sure it doesn't. Just from, I think I saw it a few years back, like on TV, and I was like, woof, like it's just not good. And it's a lot, like you said, a lot of stuff doesn't age well. And but but yeah, I'd probably take that like a horror universe with all the different characters over just planning an entire universe around essentially one character. So I really don't know how they're going to go about this. But if they don't go the route of the whole like universe thing, and they're maybe focusing mostly on the series, there could be something there because like maybe we just I don't know if it's they want to dive more into who Michael Myers is, kind of do the backstory thing. They've gone back and forth with that. I know with the movies like
I like the Rob Zombie ones.
yeah, I know some of them have and some of them like don't, and it's like it always depends on who you're talking to with this, whether they like that or they don't. Like some people like that they've talked about who he is and his upbringing and all that kind of stuff, and other people like no, he's supposed to just be what do they call it, the shadow or something like that. Like I forget the term they use for him, like that's not Michael Myers and things like that. But he's just supposed to be this presence that's there, and you don't know a lot about him and why he's doing what he's doing. And some people just like the kind of mindless killing machine side of things. So it always depends on like I said, who you're talking to and what their interests are. So I don't really know which way they're going with this. There's not a lot of information as of yet in the direction that they're taking this particular series or whatever else they have planned. But I thought you being someone who's more into horror than I was would probably have more of an opinion on this than I would.
No, it'd be cool. Something new to see. I'm interested to see who they're all because they just have the rights to Michael Myers, so who all they can actually incorporate into the universe. But it'll be cool. Just hopefully they do something good because I feel like they're kind of bleeding these characters dry with these really bad remakes, and they need to either come up with something new or just tell a good story with them.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there's one of them that is like Halloween Season of the Witch or something like that? That you know what I'm talking about?
If it's one of the older classical ones, I don't.
Yeah. I think it was like Halloween 3 or Halloween 2 or something like that was called Season of the Witch, and it didn't even have Michael Myers in it. I don't know what the characters were that they had in it, so like maybe they're allowed to use those characters, and that's what they want to do as far as building a universe. Again, I don't know.
They can maybe create new ones.
I mean, that's also an idea. It's like they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to fill the roster a little bit. Like I said, it can't just be Michael Myers. But yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. I'm sure more information will come out. It'll probably be I would say probably another year before we have any more like solid leads on where this is going because they literally just acquired this.
It's Jamie Lee Curtis, right? That was in it.
Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah.
I wonder if she'll be in these two.
Probably not. I feel like the whole new run of Halloween movies was her return and ending to this franchise. Like that was the whole point I think behind those movies was to get her back and kind of like finish her story out. Again, didn't see it, don't know how it ends, don't really care. But just based off of that, plus like she's not getting any younger. She's already pretty up there in age overall. She's not like super old, but she's up there.
They got the age and technology now, man. Come on.
That is true. I mean, but sometimes too much is too much. So
fair enough.
So it is a shorter week this week, but I do want to do real quick because Josh has got a really cool thing to share. I want to do show or tell real quick. I'm going to go first just because my thing is nowhere near as crazy as his. I've got a couple things here. Rather than doing the whole like show you guys this, I took a photo. So this weekend I went to Spook Out in Tampa. Got to meet a couple of the Rebels cast. Got Ezra and Hera signed from my collection. Both actors were just super nice. I mean, most of them are, not always, but usually they are. They were super nice people. I was very, very excited to get this. Very disappointed in the sense that Freddie Prinze dropped off at the last minute because he's literally the last of the Ghost crew that I'm missing right now.
Isn't that what Brent said he was missing? And that he glad he mailed it in or whatever?
Yeah, he got it done through a mail-in from Dragon Con, and so he was lucky enough to get that done. So it's literally just I need my Kanan one signed by Freddie Prinze. Technically, Chopper, being voiced by Dave Filoni, but that's pretty much like a never gonna happen type of situation.
Well, so we really wanted to go because we wanted to see Bam and whatnot. There was a lot of cool people there.
Yeah, they did have a lot of cool people. I got to talk with Devin Sawa. He was really cool. We got to meet Michael Roker. Super chill guy. He was walking around the show floor like it was nothing. Like he'd do like 30 minutes at his table and then like 30 minutes walking around the floor. We literally ran into him like 2 or 3 times
Nice.
just randomly. He's one of those guys that's like I don't think he realizes how famous he is. And so he just like acts like a completely normal person, which is great, but it's just you see him and you're like I'm sorry, do you not know who you are? It's just like
Counter Reeves is everywhere lately.
exactly. And then one more quick thing, this one came in the mail so I didn't have time to take a photo of it, but this showed up today. This is the new Ranger Slayer Funko Pop from the Power Rangers line. Now for those that may not know, the Ranger Slayer is actually just from the comics from Boom Studios. It was a version of Kimberly's, like an evil version of Kimberly that the Draken character creates. And a super, super awesome character. I have been clamoring for them to do one of these, especially once they did a Draken Funko. I was like, you've got to do Ranger Slayer. Her like armor and outfit is just so freaking badass, and the character is amazing. So I'm really excited that this finally came out. Maybe one of these days I'll get Amy Jo Johnson to sign it. I got her to sign a Ranger Slayer comic when I met her a few months ago, and she had no idea what it was. It was really funny. She was just like, "Who is this?" Like she's signing it and literally going, "Who is this?" And I was like, "It's you!" Like she doesn't know. I don't blame her. There's hundreds of Power Ranger things out there, and even with as popular as the comics are, I don't blame her for not knowing. But it was just really funny. That she had no idea that this was a character based off of her.
The chick who does the Yellow Ranger, she's been pretty active at cons and stuff. People have been posting a lot of stuff from her.
Are you talking Karen Ashley?
I don't know their names. I just
is it the like from the original team? Okay. Well, no, I'm asking because there's Karen Ashley who is played Aisha like in the movie and stuff like that. She was the Yellow Ranger. She took over for Trini after Trini left, and then obviously the actress that played Trini passed away a long time ago. And then there's a new Yellow Ranger they did for the Once and Always special that they did with Netflix. So I didn't know if you meant like the young person that's doing it now or the person that used to be the Yellow Ranger.
It's like a blonde lady.
Blonde lady. Okay, so that would have been one of the later seasons because the only one that from Mighty Morphin that was blonde was Kimberly's replacement. So the second Pink Ranger was a blonde woman, but there's 30 years of Power Rangers. There's a lot of blondes in there somewhere. You know what I mean? Like
she's been all over like my reels and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the Power Rangers are very active, especially with the convention stuff. And I plan on going to Ranger Stop here in Orlando next month. They'll be here. They have everybody from the original team, that's still with us, except for Kimberly and Billy. But like the first two teams from Mighty Morphin are there. They've got people from almost every iteration of Power Rangers, if not at least one person from every iteration, which is pretty impressive considering they just finished out their 30 years. It's what's crazy to think is that they just aired the final season of like, it's hard to say it's a continuity type of thing because a lot of the stuff doesn't tie into other stuff, but the season that just dropped on Netflix is apparently the last season of the current continuity for Power Rangers. They're starting over completely in the next like 2 years or something like that, and nothing that came before is going to tie in at all.
Sounds like Pokemon. Makes me sad.
Yeah, basically is what they're doing. But they've got a few different things. I'm hoping there's all this talk about them possibly doing like at least one series, whether it's animated or otherwise, that's maybe a little bit more adult. Like I really want them to do the Shattered Grid storyline from the comics. Would be such an awesome like animated series, but I'm getting a little off topic. Let's jump over to your thing. I know you're eager to share that.
This actually just arrived today. I was nervous because the boxes were really banged up, but it's a half-scale Iron Man Mark 85 from Queen Studios. And to put in perspective, this is my 8-year-old son standing next to it, so you can see the size difference for it.
Just insanely big.
Ordered it 2 years ago, and it finally arrived. That's how long these things take to get here.
Man, all these people that are like, oh, I want it and I want it now, man, they do not have the patience for this kind of stuff. Imagine ordering something, waiting 2 years to get it, people. Do you understand the patience this man has?
No, man, it kind of takes the fun out of it sometimes because then I don't know, but like you get
Yeah,
excited for it in the moment, and then you're like, oh,
yeah.
you gotta wait. There's the delay after delay, but it's finally here. It's
Not
chilling
to
out.
mention the fact that like the amount of time you have for buyer's remorse. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like,
their NRDs are like crazy high for it. So I mean, if you back out of it, you can, but then you're out a lot
mhm.
of money. So
Yeah, that's like there's a statue that I'm kind of interested in, and it's like if I pre-order it now, great. I won't see it for a year plus,
yeah,
type of thing. And
I'm
it's like,
okay. Once I did that,
yeah, it's like I know that I've got no room to talk when you waited 2 years, but I'm not used to that. Like that's why the whole statue thing is like it's not necessarily my bag. Not just because of that. It's usually
not
the
every
price
company is
point.
like that. Queen is just like that for whatever reason, but not
Oh
every.
yeah, well with something like this, it's like really different than the usual statue situation. So it always just depends on the company and what they're making. So at least a little bit I've learned from you and Miguel. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to be it for us today. We got like I said, a short episode, but a fun episode. Real quick, Josh, where can the people find you and what you got going on?
You can find me over at McCoy Culture on YouTube and at Josh.McCoy on Instagram. And I got a review for this guy. And I keep forgetting to post my review for that Pokemon statue back there, but still.
Awesome. And of course, you can find me at Andrew is Losing on pretty much all social media. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. You can also find Retroactive's social media accounts on Instagram and TikTok at RetroactivePod. So, again, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. Stick with us as we journey through Loki going forward, and we'll see you next time.